came to Thomas Berry's work in his later years, after he had become completely involved, I think, with the ecological crisis and had left behind a lot of his work that he was doing in history of religions that we already heard about. But of course, he brought all this background into the understandings he was given to the universe, and was also with him when he began his collaboration with Brian Swim. And I had come also out of a science background, so my interest was primarily in how Thomas Berry was bringing all of this wonderful religious and cultural background into a critique and understanding of science. So I'm going to say a little about his concept of the sacred universe, most of which is based on essays that you will find in the book that's going around on the sacred universe. Thomas Berry called for a comprehensive response to the ecological crises, a response that extended to public and religious institutions, educational, legal, economic, health. We're going to speak about this on the brief video we started at the beginning. He referred to this response later as the great work. And by the great work, he actually didn't mean just trivial work of careers that each of us take part in, although that was included. It was actually the task that was given to each generation of people throughout time, that were born into a certain context. And with that context comes a special great responsibility for the generations that would follow. He referred to our own era, of course, as the ecological age or the Ecozoic age, based on the background that Mary Evelyn mentioned at the beginning of his periodization of history. For Berry, this all-encompassing work requires an understanding of the universe as sacred. It is at once the rediscovery and reinvigoration of very old traditional understandings of the planet and of the universe, as we already heard. This idea of sacredness itself is preserved in many of the religious traditions that still exist, and the sacredness is preserved in these in some form or other around the earth. For some, such as the Aboriginal traditions, those that have managed to defy the advance of a certain form of modernity, the sacredness of the earth itself is still celebrated. For others, only the rudiments of what was once a more vibrant tradition remain. But if religions are to participate in the great work, if we are to preserve the planet in any of its integrity at all religious traditions will have to find the teachings, rituals, symbols, and milieu necessary in order to insist again on the sacredness of the universe. This is part of Berry's challenge and implicit warning. But he goes further. The ecological crisis facing us today is a very new situation. While there have been mass extinctions, devastating climate change, and other natural disasters that have threatened life on the planet in the past, we are fairly sure that this is the first time that such disaster is laid at the feet of the human community. Humans, and some much more than others, are responsible for the present dangerous condition of the planet, and it seems only drastic change in all patterns of human life will be sufficient to contain it. The newness of this present challenge to the human community, including to the religions of the world, is one part of the new context in which the universe must be seen as sacred. Only the perception of the very sacredness of what we are destroying might be powerful enough, according to Berry, to enable the moral obligation we have to change our situation. The other aspect of the context that is new is the larger understanding we have of the time and space that constitute the universe and the integral relationship of humankind to the rest of the universe process. For Berry, the great spiritual wisdom traditions bring to the scientific discoveries of the physical universe a perception of the psycho-spiritual nature of the universe from its beginning. Not only is each component of the universe sacred unto itself, but the entire process of a dynamic, developing universe constitutes a sacred cosmos of being. While not unlike the very old traditions of China, India, and others in a perception of a sacred cosmos, the concept of this sacredness is enhanced by observational and empirical sciences. The irony, which is not lost on Berry, is that these are the same scientific developments which in some ways of thinking bring an end to an understanding of the sacredness of the universe. That is why Berry insists that scientific understanding alone, any more than religious understanding alone, is insufficient to ground a sense of the sacredness of the universe in our time.